Welcome back to the Scuttlebutt Club. Our guest today just opened the doors to his new business, and it's right here in Fishers. He's the CEO of 24/7 Dink. John Hurley, welcome to the Scuttlebutt Club.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Considering us to be on your podcast, I'm thrilled to be here.
We're so excited you're here.
Thank you.
We love pickleball. We're like a tennis family.
Okay.
We grew up as a tennis family, and our parents have merged into pickleball in their old age.
So by default, you've learned how to play?
So we play in their driveway. We have a little pop-up net.
Nice. Now, let me ask you this.
Sure.
You're in Fishers, right?
Yeah. Correct.
So let me give you a little tidbit.
Okay.
Fishers, Indiana is the capital of court pickleball.
I believe it. Yeah.
So, the cul-de-sac pickleball.
Yep.
So, and even in my neighborhood, we have like one cul-de-sac that they've turned into a pickleball competition court during the summertime.
That's how my parents are.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's become a very communal thing and a great way to kind of bring people together.
Yeah, I feel like it's good for all ages. So.
It's phenomenal. And, one of the things that excited me most about the sport, and in full transparency, I'm not an avid pickleball player.
I was going to ask that.
Nope, I'm not. And I did that intentionally. Played it a few times, and then I just saw these amazing characteristics with it, right? It's like you just brought one of them up is, hey, I can play with my kids and I can play with my parents.
Mm-hmm.
I can play with my friends. It's not gender specific. So you can play with your partner and be better or worse, right? It doesn't matter based on your gender. And there are very few sports that you can play a few times and be good enough to be somewhat competitive to want to keep playing. Whereas tennis and golf, some of the things you've talked about, those other racket sports, take years to develop, if you ever even do, right? And a lot of money and time. And I liken this sport to bowling in that, hey, you go bowling with your friends and your family, right, in all ages. And I think this is one of those sports that are very similar, but we are intimidated because it's become kind of a country club sport. And what our goal has been from day one when we met with the city of Fishers is really to democratize the sport and make this available for everybody to play and make it more of a family fun thing to do versus this just for the competitive group. Not that we don't love those people because they're really the pioneers in the sport. So we're really trying to open the doors to a much wider audience because we believe there's just these certain characteristics that are just kind of cool.
Your new location, first location is literally in our backyard in Fishers.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Okay.
So we love that. But tell us why Fishers?
Yeah, great question. So I had the idea. So just a little bit of background on me. I'm a software guy, been in tech for over 20 years, been part of some great companies along the way, and had recently had an exit from one of my other ones in the summer of 23. And that was about the time I started playing more frequently. And my partner and I joined a league. And when we went to Broad Ripple and played on this retrofitted basketball court, and the lighting was terrible, and there was like 80,000 lines, and I couldn't figure out where the ball's at. And we had so much fun, and we connected with new people, and just started to kind of understand these things, and my entrepreneurial mind started kind of spinning. And thinking, okay, I had been semi-retired for about 4 years, and I was kind of too young to be like really retired. And I'm like, look, I got one more of these things in me, and I want to do something that's special and big. And anyway, so just started doing the math, started kind of figuring out how to make it a tech play, and then the pieces just started to fall in place. Now, what I didn't realize was how hard finding big space was going to be in the areas in which I wanted to be.
Yeah.
So you want it to be in kind of the up-and-coming areas, and we have this. At least I did anyway, this false sense of, oh gosh, all these big box retailers are going out of business and I'm going to have all this opportunity for great real estate. That's not the case, not even remotely close. It is in places, that people wouldn't necessarily play pickleball, right? So I looked at several of the places that have now spun up as pickleball places and just couldn't find the scale that I needed. So I reached out to Mayor Fadness. I had a good relationship with him in my prior life, and he took the meeting. 20-minute conversation, and just kind of shared my vision with him and said, hey, we want to democratize the sport. We see two barriers. One is how do you learn to play? Two, who do I play with? I think it's a tech play. I think people are going to use it as an infrastructure, and that's going to be what everybody does, which is what everybody's doing. It's kind of the same thing. We're doing a whole different approach. He loved the idea. He goes, what do you need from me? And I go, Mayor Fadness, I need a space. Yeah. Within like a millisecond, he goes, I know the perfect space. And they had some ideas for that space and knew that they wanted to redevelop it. And Fishers was really smart. They designated that as a grocery store. And the reason they did that, and he kind of shared this insight with me, we said we didn't want fireworks stores popping up there.
Yeah.
Right? We didn't want Halloween screens and
like
firestorms, seasonal stuff, right?
Yeah.
He said, so we designated that. And he goes, now, it takes, city council and, their process there. He goes, I feel confident we can get this through.
Yeah.
And I said, if you do that, I can promise you this one thing. We will build one of the best facilities in the nation. And what you're going to see with 24/7 Dink, and I'm not just saying this because I'm the chief Dink head. I'm saying this because it's true. We have one of the nicest facility in the nation when it comes to indoor facilities, from the sound, the lighting, the courts. And then when you start to layer in all the technology that we're going to do, we're going to blow people's minds. So to answer your first question, that was a very long thing to give you some color. To answer your first question, this is our first location. The promise I made with the city of Fishers is we are a sport tech company. Behind the scenes, it's called Sportify Labs. We're developing that sport tech, the Vision AI, the app, the reservation systems, all from the ground up. That will continue to be in Fishers as we scale. We see this as Top Golf for pickleball. So if you've been to Top Golf, what they did is they took a driving range, added software to it, and then they gamified the game. We want to do the same thing for pickleball. We want to be able to go there. You're able, if you're a beginner, say, hey, hit the ball in that square over there. And the closer you get to that square, the more points you get, right? So there are things that we're already thinking about and how this thing evolves that now becomes this fun activity, right? And then for those more, advanced players, hey, you know what? We're giving you ball speed and how many of your backhands you have and your forehands. And you know what? You hit it more than your partner, right? And then we start to, integrate into the rating systems and things of that nature, right? So that's where we see this. But unlike any business I've done, we had to build a 60,000 square foot facility to test my theories out. So
no pressure.
No pressure. So, and you asked me, I think when I got, are you excited? It's like, yes, I am. But we had to do something I've never done. We had to build two businesses from the ground up, two businesses that I played 10 times in my life, had to understand and learn the culture and the nuances, right? And then look at it from a very objective point of view. So we had to build a tech company, and then we had to build this facility, right? And now those two worlds have to come together. And here's the really scary part. If one of the businesses do not work, the whole thing fails. If you can't reserve a court, it doesn't matter. Right? But if those doors don't work, it doesn't matter, right? So we are kind of doing these two separate businesses and and trying to merge those into one. And yeah, it's a little overwhelming at times.
It's all going to work out.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Breaths.
Tell us, with your tech background and everything, we've downloaded the app. It's so good.
Okay, well, thank you.
Tell us about that and how that's going to work with the facility.
Yeah, so what we did is we really have a cloud-based app which you downloaded. Great,
Yep.
I'm glad it worked.
Yep.
We've had 2,000 downloads since we
great.
launched it. 10 days ago or whenever it was. We need about 30,000 more. So if you're hearing this, please download
it. We haven't even opened it yet, so it's okay. It's coming.
There's a thing on there you can send it to your friends. I sent
Yeah,
it to her to download.
Yeah, okay,
that worked
fantastic.
too.
Good. So hats off to the engineers, day and night. These guys have busted their tails for day and night to make sure those little things work. So what we essentially did is built a reservation system from the ground up specific to our sport and facility. So to get back to your question, one of the coolest things that we're going to be patenting is what we call flexible inventory. Okay, so or elastic inventory. So we can spin up open play. So there's really three things in pickleball we've learned. Okay, one is an activity. An activity is I want to do a clinic, I want to do a league, I want to go to a tournament. That's an activity. The second one is I want to reserve a court. I know the people I want to play with. I want to have my family over, reserve this court. And then the third one's called open play, which is great. Okay, open play is maybe you don't have a partner, maybe you do, right? And you just want to drop in and play with people that are at a skill level that you are. So we have broken that into beginner, intermediate, and advanced. So those are our three skill levels. So what makes this inventory system so unique is the fact that as demand rises for one of those things, we're actually pulling from inventory. So we could have on one day at 10 o'clock, maybe two intermediate, right? Maybe at 1 o'clock though, or say 5 o'clock in the evening, we have 10 of those courts just for the beginners. And then we're pulling that from that same inventory of those three areas, right? So that inventory is constantly kind of competing for one another. So you go, gosh, I really love this sport. I can never get in because it's always outplay. Well, now I've got you going, I'm going to reserve that court a little further out, right? So then that inventory starts to kind of compete with one another, and then we can scale that pricing based on that. So as demand rises, that price might elevate, much like you would in Uber. I don't even want to say the word. I don't even say what word. It's a dirty word in tech, and you know which one I'm thinking of, right? So I won't say that, right?
Okay.
But we'll call it elastic pricing.
Okay.
But it also work the other way, right? So hey, if we've got courts, I'm in the business of selling courts. That's essentially our heart and soul, right? So if we've got opportunities to sell that inventory, even at $2, cool, we get you in for $2 and do that. So we built that from the ground up. That then integrates into the facility through your barcode. So you'll get, or excuse me, QR code. That gets you into a turnstile door.
Okay.
Yeah, so like you would if you went to a Colts game or a Pacers game,
Yeah.
right? You click and basically go through a turnstile. So that's one way. And then the screens, we have 5 screens per court. So you have 2 input screens, you have 2 kind of visual screens, and then that will give you kind of updates on play, right? And then when you enter the court, there's a screen there. We have over 100 screens in this facility that we've hung.
Wow.
That's amazing.
It's the most technically
This is not
advanced
what I
system.
thought.
Wait,
at
what
all
do the
thinking
screens
of
do?
this.
A few things,
Okay.
right? So I love it. I love it. I love it. So you've bowled.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first thing you do when you bowl now, you go and you kind of input who's there.
Yeah.
We already know that because you have an app. Okay. I know your skill. I know what you know your handle.
Yeah, do you have like the rankings in that? Like, can people put
Yep,
their
so
like?
we're gonna start to build that knowledge base on
Okay,
your historical
okay.
data, and when you go to the screen, it's gonna have your court number, but it's also gonna have your profile. It's gonna have your favicon, your name. We also badge, so you'll earn badges as the more you play. Let's say you
okay.
shared that with a friend. You share 5, you'll be a social butterfly. You'll get that badge,
It's
right?
like a Peloton.
It's
type
exactly
situation.
like a Peloton. So we're gamifying just even your profile, right? Which I think is
Just fun.
is fun, and I mean I can tell you kids seem to like it with
Oh.
the whole video game thing, right? So we're incorporating that. The screens, we have 2 input screens. So you'll drag and drop what side of the court you're on, A or B. And now once we layer on our Vision AI, which unfortunately isn't available yet because now the courts are finally there for us to actually start incorporating it.
Okay.
You'll drag and drop your profile. Now I use the Vision AI to tag you, and now I know everything you do. Right?
Cool.
Those screens are the input. The 2 big screens will then give you the data points. Maybe you stepped in the kitchen when you went to hit the ball, right? Oh, boom. Yeah. So that's what gives you kind of real
It's
time
gonna like
stuff.
be live action like that.
Yes. Yeah.
So will it keep
This is
score
wild.
too? I know this
know.
is so
It's
wild.
like an instant replay.
I'm not doing. Yeah, we're doing instant. And we'll have cameras to instant replay.
Stop.
The whole thing. So and that has all
If
the
there's
social.
like a discrepancy,
Yes. Oh yeah. It's
Go-
right there.
Caught on camera.
Replay, yeah.
So
There's no fights. It's there.
So
Yeah.
when I said the Top Golf of pickleball, okay, people don't realize that Top Golf is really a software company, not an infrastructure
yeah, yeah,
company.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you take their software away, they become a driving range, just like everything else. The difference is you can get some pizza and some beer,
Yeah.
right? But outside of that, it's just a driving range. So that's what makes us unique. So why did Mayor Fadness in the city of Fishers? Sport tech's big right now. It's especially big in our city. There's a lot of investment going down. Indianapolis is really trying to hang their hat on that group of entrepreneurs and technical minds. We're taking sport tech to the next level. So we have hard tech, we have sport tech, and then of course we have the overall facility. So when I said we're 2 companies, we really are.
Really are.
And then the next question I'll probably get, it's going to pop in your head, I can see it, is are you going to sell the software? And the answer is absolutely not. Any more than Top Golf would ever sell theirs. Our software is what makes us unique, gives us our competitive advantage, and continues to build that moat really deep and wide, right, to keep us away from the competition. Because everybody else is going to do pretty much the same thing.
Okay,
There's
so
no
say
creativity.
we're booking a court for our family.
Yep.
What do we need? Do we need to bring stuff? Do you have
Yeah, do you
paddles?
have paddles?
Do you have
Do we bring
balls?
our own?
So, no, great-
Food? What's the whole situation?
Yep. So great questions. So yes, we have paddles and yes, we have balls. We
Okay.
figured that was a friction point. We don't want people that have never played
Right.
Yeah.
or maybe are traveling to make that as a barrier of entry. So we're the only ones that offer not demos, not rentals, free paddles, free balls, which are freaking awesome. Okay. We built these customized carts. You go grab one, you grab a ball.
what kind of paddles are they?
They are custom made to us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can't give you my source, but it's
I didn't know if it was like a brand or no.
We're
okay.
not partnering with any brands on any of our stuff. Again, we're trying to take a kind of a fresh approach to it. So we branded our own paddles, and they're like really, really cool. You'll see them if you guys come by.
Yeah.
It says stolen from 24/7 Dink. So if you walk out the door,
That's
right?
perfect.
Yeah. So we'll know they're stolen. But anyway, we do that. Outside of that, really, if you think about our business, it's pretty simple. I mean, there's a court, right? There's not a lot of moving parts. You go, you check in, and you start playing. And I don't know if I answered your question or not. Oh, it was paddles, ball. What was the
Food
second?
or drink?
Food or drink? No, we were intentional about that.
'Kay.
Okay. We saw. I visited a few of these and doing some of my due diligence, and that seemed to be a common thing. Okay, but having played the sport and really looking at the players of the sport, those two things don't really go hand in hand. We think they do because that's a country club approach. We wanted to take every square foot of this place and be purposeful of the player experience. However, what we did do, which is why I needed Mayor Fatness's help in the city of Fishers, was to put it in a high density retail area. So we pay a lot more for square footage, right? But guess what it puts us next to? Bars and restaurants, right? And
Walkable, too.
Walkable. And as you know, knowing that area as well as you do, it needed some refreshing, right?
Yeah.
And every one of those business owners I've talked to, I mean, every single one that's in that strip mall right there, and including even the hot box pizza there on the corner, has reached out to me and is just very thankful, because we'll put on an average day about 600 to 800 different people in that
Yeah,
facility
that's
a day,
amazing.
which will obviously fuel those other businesses in that area as well.
For sure.
So
I love that.
Okay, clear up this rumor for me that I've heard chit chat. I heard there's not going to be anyone like working there. Is that true?
Yeah. So
Like, how does that work? Like, you have like a code
so
to
we
get
pivoted
in.
a little bit on that.
Okay.
We pivoted a little bit on that. So when I first kind of envisioned this whole thing, I kind of thought of it as like an Anytime Fitness. I don't know if you've been to an Anytime Fitness. I mean, it's equipment, right? You know the system, you know the drill. You can be there at night. So we're hanging on to that. That's why it's 24 hours a day. We believe that works. What we didn't know was how important that programming piece was going to be. And we were the title sponsor for the concert series at Fishers. I don't know if you had the opportunity to go to any concerts last
This summer? Yeah.
Yeah, Fishers. So we had what we call our Dink wagon, and we were sponsoring things. But what that allowed us to do, because we hadn't really connected with people, right, was ask questions. Lots and lots of questions. And more so than even ask questions, just listen to what people were asking us. And one of the things that were really consistent was, are you going to have classes to learn? Well, unfortunately, the only way to pull that off is now I'm, as a business owner, dependent on getting a third party in there to train people under our brand. So we took a little different approach midstream. During operating hours, we will have highly skilled people working there that are helping with the programming, but also implementing it and training people. We've got 25 of Indy's best players that are either part-time or full-time at our facility.
Okay.
Yeah. So when
Our parents said that some of their pickleball friends are ambassadors.
yes, we have ambassadors there too. That's what
Okay.
they are.
That's what they're
So
called?
this is your parents' friends.
Yes.
So they
Some
are
of them.
Very well integrated in the pickleball.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's a very tribal.
We asked them to babysit for us to come to the grand opening, and they're like, "We're going to that."
We're like, oh, shoot.
I love it. So these ambassadors.
Ambassadors, okay.
They are part of that group of people. And then a guy by the name of Chris Bangus, which is highly respected here in the pickleball community. He is a top tier player, is passionate about training and teaching people. And really one of the things I wanted for all these ambassadors, including it sounds like your parents, which I think is just amazing, is I wanted people that are passionate about the sport, but more so passionate about getting people into the sport. And that's what those ambassadors are. So after a certain time at 10 o'clock, then it just goes, it's all app and cameras, right? So it is somewhat still true. Because we won't be doing open play. We won't we won't have any league play.
That's just more court rental.
It's just court rental.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we know exactly who's there, exactly at what court they're at, right? And then we're able to tag them when they come in, and we know, Now I've had the question, hey, well, what happens if something happens? Well, real time I won't, but I'll tell you what. There's buttons you can, we will have people there quickly, but you're recorded from the moment you park to the moment you leave. So
watch yourself.
watch yourself.
There's also a fire department like right across the street.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which we made friends with. We made friends with from an unintentional perspective. They were testing our fire systems, and they thought it was in test mode. Turned out it wasn't. And next thing you know, there's like that whole crew and like it was
Seconds.
like 5 alarm, man. They were all there.
Well, at
coming
least
in
you
from
know
every-
they're there for you.
I was like, well, hey, listen, we're doing a kind of a free Fishers night. You're welcome to come if you guys like. I'm glad you're here. So anyway, no, it worked out.
Can we talk a little bit about your partnership with Mud Sox Sports?
Yeah,
because
definitely.
that is very near and dear to our hearts.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. So I had the opportunity to meet some people that were very much plugged into that and got into pickleball. Last year was our first year doing it. They had, I think, 100 and something spots, and it filled up within a few days.
Yeah.
And they just had a remarkable outcome in terms of the participation and those kinds of things. So met with some people at Mud Sox and then this other couple and just said, hey, how can we partner? Their issue was, how do we find enough courts to facilitate this? So we are in partnership with them. We are allocating 6 courts, I want to say 2 if not 3 nights a week.
Oh, nice.
Kicks off in late spring into the summer. One of the things I said early on is I want to build a community center and not a country club. Community center. And I don't think there's any better way to connect with the community than through our kids and through sport. So I think it's a great partnership. I'll take that a step further. We have locked down Fishers High School and HSC as well.
Nice.
So there is a huge love of this game that's starting to go younger and younger and younger. And in fact, those 2 schools have a very competitive teams and a large participation.
I was going to say, do you think that'll become a high school sport eventually?
I know it will.
Yeah.
I know it will. And I know you hear this, well, it's a fad. Well, paddle,
No.
I go, I think it's a movement.
Yeah.
I think that I really do. And when and to prove that point is when you can get kids to start playing at a young age. It's such a great sport to pick up at a young age. Kind of like golf, you can kind of play that into your 70s.
Right.
Pickleball is the same way. Whereas tennis is, as you get older, becomes harder to play.
Or I think of like golf, it's like, as a kid, that's tough. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
absolutely,
like,
yeah.
It's great when you're older, but
Yeah.
kids aren't really doing
They're not drawn to it. It's
No.
not enough action, especially with the way our brains are wired now with all the, connectivity we have, right? So this is a action-packed sport. You don't have to move a lot. I think that it has so really, if you look at USA Pickleball as a whole, they're really pushing getting these programs going. And what I find fascinating is that Fishers is really on the bleeding edge of that, right? And trying to, really incorporate it into our youth programs. Carmel Dads Club's a little bit behind that as well. They started to incorporate some of that. So yes, to answer your question, we're excited to have them. This will be the first year that we do that. Mud Sox, but we're also, I want to say the high school stuff spins up in March maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, and Chris, I mentioned him, is working that deal. In fact, they're working a partnership between those 2 schools to help kind of pay for court time and those kinds of things,
nice.
right? So rather than have one school, so maybe do a group of sponsorships as a whole for Fishers, right? They would actually be able to do that. So.
Very
It's
cool.
great. We love that.
Yeah.
I do too.
The big thing that draws me to this that I'm so excited for is like there's no membership fee commitment.
It's great. Yeah.
It's so I'm like telling my husband the other night, I'm like, it's cold, it's winter. Like we could book a court and take the kids and go play for an hour and have something to do inside.
something to do.
And we don't have to pay like a yearly huge fee like at some of the tennis places I go to.
I just
Or
feel
even
like that
pickleball
holds people
facilities.
back too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
would I use it enough? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is just like, go as you need.
So I've been in the membership business for a long time. I know memberships really, really well. And that's where these SaaS or software companies, that's where their value comes on these memberships. So believe me, I know more than I could ever even talk about memberships. And, one of the things I studied on this, and I studied, and I put a lot of thought into it, was like, I don't see the membership working. I think it does at the highest level, but I think then it caps out. It works in fitness. I don't think it works here. And here's why. When you look at memberships of anything, so we all have them, right?
Right.
But we'll have too many,
Right.
Car
Netflix,
wash,
car wash,
Netflix.
Netflix. That list goes on. I mean,
Yeah,
you got apps now that are membership driven to keep track of your memberships,
Yes.
right? So that's how many memberships we have, and it comes down to this very simple idea. And that is, it's not what somebody's willing to pay to use your subscription or your membership. It's what somebody's willing to pay not to use it. So my point is, you're paying $140 or $150 a month to play pickleball, and if you're not playing, okay, that membership, you're going to go, ooh, 140, I don't care where you fall. That's enough money to go, ooh, are we going to use that? And go, maybe the higher income brackets, maybe go a few extra months. But at some point you're going, hey, we just paid like $1,700 this year.
Yeah.
And we went how many times?
Right.
So I just don't think it's that. The second thing, and the reason why we really leaned into the non-membership was, how do you appeal when we talk about being a community center, if that's our guiding light and that's where we're going, how do I appeal to that person that's never played to come in and say, hey, we're going to teach you, okay, and then we're going to start charging you this amount. And unfortunately, when you look at the economics, there's just no way to like attract that group of people and this. So we just took that kind of fresh approach to this whole thing. We're one of the few places that do that.
Yeah.
With this caliber of a facility.
Yeah.
Well, if I think about it too, like if I've never played pickleball, but I'm kind of curious or interested, or some of my friends play, I'm not going to spend $140 when I've never done it
You've
before.
never done it before,
Yeah,
right?
it
You know?
excludes like a whole group of people. And
Yeah.
You got it. So there just wasn't a way, and I came up with different things. I go, no, look, this is, and we want simple, simplistic pricing, and it seemed to work, and the economics of it worked, and and even then we've had people go, well, I feel like I've seen some comments online. It's like, oh, that's just too much. I'm like, oh, and then you don't know the sport. I mean, at the end of the day.
Well, a lot of the places around too, like you pay a membership, but then you also have to pay for court time.
Yeah.
You do.
You know?
You both. You got it. So here's what we thought. Think about this. What are we willing to pay for a price of a movie? Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So we all can identify with that, right? So that's a couple hours. That's viewed as entertainment. And when you look at our pricing, it's very similar. It's 2 hours. You drop in during the day. It's $10. So for $5 an hour, what can you do that's fun, okay, that you get to connect with new people, right? And it's healthy.
Right.
Yeah, get a little movement.
I'm not sitting there eating and drinking, right? You're
yeah.
just enjoying something, a sport, So that's kind of, what was for me anyway, in trying to figure out the pricing was okay, what are things we can, because it falls under entertainment. Now, those higher caliber, the people that play 7 days a week, this probably isn't going to be a great fit. But what we've learned is as more of these clubs come online, their tribe is being fragmented. Right? So if you got somebody that lives in West Clay, Carmel, right, they're going to go somewhere fairly close. They might go, I'm not going to mention names, but closer clubs, facilities. Versus if you're, East Fishers, right, you might want to play at our place, right? So what's going to happen is these are going to be very fragmented. So what we allow is championship courts that allow all those tribes to connect. So we believe we will continue to get those avid players, right, that maybe don't play at our place the 7 days a week, but when they want to connect with those friends outside of their larger tribe, they'll be able to do that.
And because they don't have to pay a membership fee.
They don't have to pay the
They're
membership
going to come
fee.
to you for your friends, but not vice versa.
You got it.
And I feel like we see this with our like parents group of friends from years ago. They'd all play outside at one place.
Yes.
And then all these outdoor courts started popping up closer to where they lived.
Yeah, and they started playing at their place.
Yes, exactly.
Right. And I'll give you something else. You're obviously you love the Fishers community, and I'm not from Carmel, actually from the east side of Indy, but lived in Carmel for 16, 17 years. But have really ingrained myself in the kind of the Fishers community and the culture. And one thing I'll say, and this is just a complete sidebar, is just things like this is just how proud you guys are, you know, and that's community, right? Like it's just a great sense of community in Fishers. And that takes time to develop. It takes great leadership, right, and understanding all that. And it's been just a privilege to be able to be part of that community, in Fishers. And I don't know why I went down that road, but I felt like I needed to say that.
Yeah, I love it.
I needed to say that. And there was another thought I had that I think was even bigger, but I don't remember.
It'll come to you. Okay, so we were talking about this earlier, but we started in our season 2 doing like a top 5 of something, like a top 5 list of something each week that we make up.
Okay,
So
let's do it.
this is our list. So you just
All right.
You chime
input
in.
whenever
Okay.
you want.
So our top 5 this week is top 5 reasons to play pickleball
Okay.
or to try pickleball.
All right.
He's
Okay.
gonna giggle at this one.
Okay, you can say it.
Number 5.
Well, so we go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
And it
You
leads
can-
up to the biggest, which will be
Yeah,
one.
drum
Okay,
roll.
gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha. All right.
You can wear cute outfits.
This is like a true or false?
No, that's our number 5.
Is it true or
false? Is it true or false?
All right. Okay.
True. Your outfit's cute.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate that. But I'm not playing pickleball either.
I know. We're just-
But I could. I could rip
but
this off.
girls
and play.
like that aspect.
No,
Yeah,
you know
that-
what
all
I
the
mean?
cute
I can
to
see
do
that. I
leisure.
can see that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can
In
see that.
the motherhood situation that we're in athleisure all the time. So if we can wear a cute outfit and go play a little sport, we're gonna do it.
I love it.
All right, number 4. It seems like everyone's starting to play pickleball or has been. It's like we said earlier, kind of a movement. The sport's booming. So our number 4 is it's a great way to meet new people.
I would absolutely agree with that.
I mean, we touched on that many
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
Community.
Yep, it is, and it's your neighbors, people that are even outside the market, right? You get to meet new people, and one of the things I loved about leagues is it kind of puts you in a program to do that.
Yeah.
Right? It kind of forces you to meet those people. But go ahead, I like
All
that.
right, number 3. We talked about this again, but it's a sport that the entire family can play.
Agreed.
Yep.
I love that about the sport.
I love that our top 5 is like quizzing you. You're like, yes, no, yes.
5's a question mark, right? I don't put a lot of thought into 5, but I will give you number 3 and 4. I'm 100% in agreement with.
All right, number 2. It's a great workout. It's way more fun than going like to get on a treadmill every day.
Oh gosh,
You know?
I hate it.
I know.
I hate it too.
I hate
And
treadmills.
you know what my
I hate
favorite-
ellipticals and treadmills.
You know what my favorite thing about this too, of it being a great workout? It's like something at our older age now that you can still compete in something
Yes.
and be competitive.
Yep.
Like you're going to play a sport and getting a workout. Again, you're not going to do curls and walk on a treadmill.
And I feel like the time just like goes so much quicker versus like, oh, I have to be on the treadmill for 30 minutes.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
It's brutal.
You look down at your Apple Watch when you're done and you're like, wow, I burnt a ton of calories.
Yeah.
And
Yes, I know. And actually, they added on my Apple Watch. They have pickleball now.
yes.
Oh yeah,
that's
they do.
That's
yeah.
a new little.
I feel like our
little
dad
thing.
has that.
Yeah, the pickleball is an add-on, or you can just select it now. So I agree. I agree 100% on that. I am too much ADD, and I sit on elliptical and I look, and at least I get to watch news. And you're looking at your watch, going, okay, that's 7 minutes.
I
That's
know.
all.
Yeah.
7 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like lonely.
It is.
Like this is.
Yes, it's communal.
All right,
All right,
number
you're doing
1.
number 1 because
Okay.
the words you put on this sheet are too many for me.
All right. Well, I think this came out like in the last year or two where they studied different sports and how it extended life expectancy.
Okay.
So they said that playing racket sports, which they included pickleball,
Sure.
even though it's a paddle, same kind of
Same.
difference.
Yeah, it's racket. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's classified as that.
It has shown to add 7 to 9 years to your life expectancy.
See, and I didn't know that. I
Yes.
love little facts like that.
And the reasons, they said racket sports are especially beneficial because they combine balance, cardiovascular endurance, mental engagement, hand-eye coordination, and then there's also that social interaction and sense of community.
I love it. No, I didn't know that fact, but
Yeah.
maybe we should put that on our webpage. And by the way,
Can you
Right.
put it that it was a quote from us?
absolutely,
From
absolutely,
the Scuttlebutt.
absolutely. No, I love it. No, those are 5 great ones. 4 great ones. How about that? 1 good one, 1 okay one.
We're going to get you some cute clothes. okay?
Yes.
There you go. There you
We
go.
love, it's in Carmel, Baseline Social.
Oh yeah,
Have you heard of that?
I'm familiar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I am.
All the pickleball, golf,
they're-
tennis gear.
We love a
All-
good merch situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll tell you, it is blown.
Will you be
get
selling
inundated.
merch?
So kinda, not merch a little bit, not a lot. So we took a little different approach. Again, just looking at it from a different perspective. Square footage to us has to yield something.
Yes.
Right. And what we found is looking at the research we did, there just wasn't a lot of movement on those. Unfortunately, we're competing with the internet. Right. What I love about this play is I'm not competing with the internet. Right. I'm not at all, except when it came to merch. So what we did is we bought a top of the line vending machine that is, you can see through it. It's touchscreen. It's huge. It's probably as big as that wall is right there. And I'm sure you've seen them at the airport, right? If you wanted to get some
Oh,
AirPods
yeah.
or something like
Makeup
that.
or
Yeah.
whatever.
So we bought
Yeah.
something very similar to that. But you'll have 3 different types of balls because you very well might break a ball, lose a ball, forget a ball. We have some really cheap paddles, right? We have a decent one. And then we have some merch that says, like Dink heads or cool hats and that kind of stuff. But outside of that, low square footage, right? We're not looking to get rich off of this, but it's more of a convenience factor.
No, I like that.
And that's
Keep
good
it simple.
marketing for you when people
100%.
wear that hat around town or
Yeah. Oh, yes.
You
Hey,
know?
and we'll take it, right? And we're not looking to make a lot of money on it. We're looking at just kind of covering our cost and, again, kind of providing value. That's it.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you so much for
Yeah.
having
We
me. I hope I
can't
didn't talk
wait-
too much.
No.
No, you are
you're great.
perfect. And we can't wait to come check it out.
Yeah.
Yes. Can't
We're
wait to
very
have you there to
excited.
check it out. So thank you very much for having us.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thanks. See everybody next Tuesday.